You're asking me about the path from the bachelor's level occupational therapy on to further education. And what I will tell you is that I work at Thomas Jefferson University, which is in Philadelphia in the United States, and we have an online program for people that are already bachelor's degree occupational therapists that you can come and take courses that would take you to the clinical doctorate. Okay, so you would need to take three courses that relate to bringing you to a master's level in terms of knowledge and readiness. It's not exactly a master's degree that you would earn in between. You would be just prepared to go into the doctorate, and at the end of a total of 44 credits, you would have an occupational therapy clinical doctorate that we have packaged as advanced practice certificates. So we have one in autism, one in teaching in the digital age. If you would like to be being a clinical educator or an educator at a university, this will give you a skill set to be ready to teach using best practices. The third one is a advanced practice certificate in neuroscience, and they're all 4 classes, and they all relate to occupational therapy. We have a couple more in the making. One is going to be around assistive technology, and the others we aren't unveiling yet. I have to check and see, but we're going to have more of these. But the beauty of these is that you take one, if you get the full advanced practice certificate, that's 4 courses, 12 credits, already towards your OTD. So it's very about our program is there's not many students, and there is a lot of interaction, even though it's via the internet and online, with the faculty. The third part of a doctorate is to do your capstone experience, which is a special project, and you will be paired with, and you choose and you request which faculty member you would like to have as your mentor through the process, and hopefully you come up with you go through a full process of a project, and then you write it up for publication. So it's a really it's a lot of work. Our program is not easy, but it's very rewarding, and you get a lot of individualized attention.
Post-professional programs. We have the post-professional MA program. We have the post-professional OTD, which is our clinical-based doctorate degree, and we have the PhD, which is our research-based doctorate degree. The MA program is a 30-credit program. You have 15 credits of required core courses, and then you have 15 credits of electives. So basically, depending on what your area of interest or your specialty, you can kind of tweak the curriculum to fit your needs. You'll meet with your academic advisor. The OTD program is our clinical-based doctorate degree. It's a 36-credit program. We actually offer that degree online. It can be completely done online or in campus. The OTD degree is for individuals who know they want to work in the clinics. As opposed to our PhD, which is our 52-credit degree. And the PhD degree is more a research degree. It's a Doctor of Philosophy, and that degree is for individuals who want to do research, work in academia. So that's the distinction between the clinical doctorate and the PhD. Okay?
with about 600 articles included. We did 19 expert interviews from Switzerland and abroad. And those experts were people from the fields of healthcare, economy, society, technology, and also law. So it was a very broad study. We also did 3 focus group interviews with healthy people, with chronically ill people, and with health professionals. Little trackers with sensors included on them that you can wear on the body. Most sensors are worn around the wrist, and they track activity. Most of them you see here are counting steps actually. And from that,
something measured once a week. When you go into a doctor's office, it can be measured continuously, and then you have more data available and see
how things develop. There can also be an improved disease and health management. There is a study out with cancer patients that shows that patients who sent in their side effects of the medication actually had a longer rate of survival of cancer because the doctors could take better care of them. And also there's interventions and evaluations that are easier to be made because people can be measured easily. We also found in interviews that the body awareness changed of people. They learned, for example, what the pulse rate was, such as by seeing the data all the time. And also administration documentation can be easier because it can be. So, and I want to talk about the risks. We found that data protection with these devices is really, really poor. Data is submitted unencrypted, and also it's sold often to other companies without people knowing. And especially if it's mixed with patient data or with personal data, this can be a huge problem, especially for people who rely on that nobody knows about their illness, because there is the fear that people will be stigmatized on their illness, especially if health insurance companies know about their data. So in Switzerland, there's a lot of health insurance company trying to get on the market with this kind of apps, and of course they
tool or a device or an app, you can name it in different ways, that guides clients with executive dysfunction through the steps of instrumental activities of that daily life, and which increases independent performance and self-control. And we developed this prototype in a so-called, in a nice word, participatory user-centered design, in an iterative way. About thousands and thousands of times we went to those clients, we tried out the use of the app, we were refining the functions and the system, how it works, etc., etc. So we had to take into account that the system needed to be client-centered, that we could make tailor-made activities for the clients with different problems and different challenges, and important that there were some visual, verbal, and auditory cues. That we were collecting a lot of data of all these people on two levels. So we were measuring their performance in a pre-testing using COPM and the goal attainment scale. We were, they were getting the M-Assist for 4 weeks. We were measuring results of the usability and performance after 1 week. And we did the same after 4 weeks of use. Yes. And this is, of course, what I would like to present to you, because I can think you're all curious now about the results. But first of all, something more about participants. We had about 17 participants in different age groups. On the different tests we used, we were not only looking to the use, but also their expectancy and credibility towards the use of the M-Assist. We were also looking to the human interface things. And as you can notice, high numbers, very high numbers, in all of those areas. And what is important is that there were no significant changes between T1 measure and T2 measure. I will come back to that. Improvement remained, but no further increase. So we can decide that there was a quick win in occupational performance already from the start. Yes. Of course, we need further or future research because, as I said, we used M-Assist in a home situation, not specifically in a rehabilitation environment. So this is also something interesting to look further to. We would like to increase the evidence and to aim for an RCT, more participants. And at the moment we are working towards other client groups and trying to figure out doing usability testing, other client groups as people with intellectual disability, ASD.
From Professor Emma Louise Newberry, that in neurorehabilitation and in rehabilitation in general, that it's really important to use a full client-centered approach together with a task-oriented approach. It has a lot of beneficial effects and it's also relevant to use. Dots have the color. Oh, just go back. Those dots have the color of the sweatbands that are positioned on the joints that are important. So you can see the ankles, the knees, the wrists, the elbow, but also 3 points on the trunk. And so what does the patient see? This is the patient interface. So you can see here on your left hand side the recorded movement of the therapist, and on the right hand side the therapist's avatar. So you can see that he has to lift his knees. So what was actually the aim of our training, and from baseline towards the short-term follow-up. And the same for the time component on the Wolf Motor Function Test. So patients actually performed the different tasks much faster during the first 4 weeks of practice, but then we can see a very steep rise. And that's actually due to two patients. There were two patients that were actually suffering from fatigability, and they couldn't perform 2 and 4 tasks after 6 weeks of training due to the fatigability. And if they couldn't perform the task, but they attempted it, you have to score 120 seconds on that task. So that's, pretty large involvement of that. But then again, after 6 weeks of short-term follow-up, we can see another statistical significance between, and that's a better one, between the baseline and the short-term follow-up.
What the family-centered intervention phase, and to evaluate the feasibility of the study design for evaluating the effect of perceived impact of stroke, perceived participation, and self-efficacy in everyday activities among persons with stroke and their families in Uganda. The intervention group and the control group in changes over time between baseline and follow-up. So when you see this figure and this figure, you can see that there was significant difference between baseline and follow-up.
Service, we established the technological infrastructure for its implementation via internet, and we prepared 19 multimedia contents videos. 14 of them show correct postures and transfers, and 5 of them comprising a variety of exercises for stretching. We selected multimedia contents for each patient and weekly adapt them individually to their needs during the video conferencing. And patients were supervised by occupational therapists and physiotherapists in rehabilitation exercises at home. By watching it, what the patients need to do. For stroke patients, it's very difficult to prepare videos because we know that they have different patterns of movement. Some of them they're spastic or not, so it's very difficult to prepare one video for, let's say, all of them.
Hello everybody, my name is Danny Park. I am an associate professor at the University of Southern California in the Chan Division of Occupational Science and Occupational Therapy. We have a great affection for the Saudi Arabian occupational therapy community, and we really invite you to learn more about some of the educational opportunities we have at USC. We have several different degree programs, from a post-professional master's program, where a one-year master's program for Saudi Arabian students with a bachelor's degree of occupational therapy. We also have an OTD, a Doctor of Occupational Therapy program, as well as a PhD program in occupational science. For those who are interested, also we have the Summer Occupational Therapy Immersion program, the SOTI program, which is a 4-week course each July for occupational therapy students from around the world to learn more about occupational therapy in the United States. My name is Daniel Park. My email is park
adaptive occupational therapy-based intervention program targeting the participants' selected occupations, and it consists of 1 to 3 home visits and 1 to 3 telephone follow-up contacts, and the tailored combination of the following components. Recruited 242 participants into the study, and 191 completed the final follow-up after 12 weeks, which was sufficient to reach our power calculation. But how did the study population look like from the beginning? Well, they were about 67 years old, and men and women was almost equally represented. The majority lived with someone, typically in a house, and were well educated. And most had WHO performance score 1, that is, they were the better functional patients. And the most frequently primary cancer diagnoses were gastrointestinal, lung, breast, and prostate. And most had other diseases than cancer alone.
items, including 5 negative items. It adopted 5-point Likert scale, and the respondent rate is 74.56%. 8 experts who have more than 10 years of cancer care experience were invited in this focus group. There were 4 OT, 1 PT, 1 nutritionist, and 2 the emerging area. 1. Lack of knowledge and practicum in university course design. Most courses in Taiwan arrange cancer rehabilitation only for 2 to 4 hours of lecture teaching. The students has few opportunity to practice and the internship learning in cancer rehabilitation. Second, lack of
it's estimated that about 80% of all
MS have MS fatigue, and this can also, of course, significantly influence their everyday occupations. The fatigue management program is an evidence-based program that is mostly used in the North American countries, and only few studies have been presented from Europe. Recently, we measured by program components that were delivered.
And over 80% of the program components were delivered, and the highest program components that were delivered were interactive lecture component and homework review. And other components were up to 75% or more. And it was the first session that had the highest program components delivery, over 93%. And that was when fatigue was discussed and the importance of rest, whereas we had the lowest ratings, 67% in session 2, which was about how do you communicate your MS to others, MS fatigue to others, and biomechanical aspects that was also discussed. And components in other sessions was between 7.5 to
research in the occupational therapy process around home modifications, because we know that there is a body of evidence that kind of demonstrates that what we do as occupational therapists in terms of housing adaptation really improves people's health and well-being. So that's what we know. However, there is a body of evidence that actually says that the process that we use as occupational therapists can be a problem. So one of the things that's been identified is that we tend not to be at times occupation focused, so we tend to focus on accessibility rather than actually how people use their home environments. Certainly in the UK, occupational therapy practice has been greatly influenced around how legislation and policy has been written. My PhD journey in the School of the Built Environment, and because we're using design and construction techniques and methods to modify people's home, it obviously to me made sense. Well, let's have a look at what research is out there in terms of what they do within design and construction industry. Kind of map that against Anne Fisher's occupational therapy intervention process model. So I mapped what the OTs were saying that they were doing with the OTIPA model. And then I combined it with the generic design and construction process protocol, which is one of those standardised processes that the design and construction industry developed back in, this one was developed in 2000. I'm going to test your eyesight now. So this is what thoughts around how the protocol could actually support practice. I think what it does is it shows the complexity of what we do, and I think that's really important when we're kind of working with stakeholders and trying to communicate what we do as occupational therapists. A lot of what we do in this field of practice is around our clinical reason, and often that's not a very visible side of what we do, but hopefully the home modification protocol actually makes it quite evident what we do. It's a useful training tool so anybody coming into this field of practice can get an understanding of what they should be doing. It's an opportunity to look at your practice and in terms of service development, and it's also a way in which we can look at our own occupational therapy practice to identify areas of gaps in terms of research.
him from these categories. First one is need a hair mother demand their educational program to balance occupation, because in our country our therapeutic service only related for the children rather than to be careful to mother daily living activities, because they have limited understanding about autism. We don't have home-based services to care autism children in home, so that's why they have imbalance in their daily occupations. They need innovative and comprehensive community-based program for mother too, besides their children, because of their frequent complication in their physical health. They have back pains, neck pains, and another joint pains. They have feeling of guiltiness, so they are suffering with some mental illness. They need also support for their psychosocial and psychological